With that, ladies and gentlemen, I truly hope that you're going to love this panel. It's very interesting. We're going to deep dive into how cultures across the world influence and shape our design practices. So our panelists today bring unique perspectives from various regions and designs philosophies. So with that, without any further ado, please join me in welcoming our wonderful moderator, who has been bestowed with the responsibility of extracting all the perspectives and driving this conversation forward. Please give it up for Mr. Pratap Jadhav from Pratap Jadhav and Associates, Pune, India. Please welcome our moderator on the stage with some applauses. Wow, we are truly looking forward to all the questions that you have prepared for our esteemed panelists. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists on the stage. Please give it up for Mr. Saurabh Mittal, our respected MD and CEO at Green Lamb Industries Limited, India. Welcome back again, sir. Please have a seat at the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Vikas Thakkar from Vikas Thakkar and Associates, Indore, India. Welcome to you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have Mr. Manish Bankar from Tau Architecture Private Limited, Pune, India. Give it up for Ms. Rashita Khanna from SWBI, Gurgaon, India. We also have Mr. Manish Kala from Edifice Design Studio, Dehradun, India. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Narottam Singh from Narottam Singh and Associates, Amritsar, India. And we also have Mr. Anil Ranka from Anil Ranka Architects, Pune, India. Everybody, I think we can keep the claps rolling as our brilliant panelists are joining us up on the stage now. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. May I request all the panelists to please have a seat at the dais.
The Mittal spoke about in his inaugural address to all of us is everything just gets related to the culture, the way we think, the way we work, the way we design, and the way we live. I think culture is way of life. And that's how it influences all the designs that we all make. May it be a brand, may it be a product, may it be a space, or whatever that we live in. Culture is a set of values that are shared amongst a community. These values are customs, art, social behavior, rituals, norms, knowledge, and the habit of individuals in a society, essentially the way of life. There are a wide number of cultures across the globe and that have different associations with colors, symbols, language, typography, forms, and structures, materials among them, among the other things. But here it's important. And because of power, culture holds on how society interprets, how they view the various elements of design. Culture has been known to influence design for decades. Culture has the power to influence both tangible and intangible aspects of design. These shared sets of values and human experience that form a culture are what inspires and encourages designers to ideate, create, and design product and visual communication with more sensitivity to people's lived experiences. In today's modern design world, a lot of visual design identity of brands is inspired by the culture around them. Having known what we are trying to look forward to in this panel discussion, my first question is to Manish, architect Manish Bankar. Manish, in this global scenario, you have been working in India, I've seen your designs, and you work pan-India. And India is known as a country of diverse cultures. So every 40 kilometers, 100 kilometers, culture changes. How do you adapt to individual clients, to their design solutions, understanding their own culture?
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody. And I'm happy to share this stage with good friends around and good audience also. I'm very happy to, to see this hall where we all are settling at the moment. And the culture, I mean, it's something which is so global at the moment, as Pratap says, but there's a locally also everybody is in a kind of a tune of, how they are born and brought up over the years. But to start with, I would like to say a little go deeper on culture, that there is an immense natural habitat within which we are born, okay, as a globe. There's a kind of environmental culture by which we are driven, but there is socio-cultural aspects which we got when we are born with, in whichever the community or the context or the geographical locations, and also, the kind of social cultural aspects by which we grow together. India specifically is quite wide in its own way. It varies from north to south, east to west. For instance, I would just like to say how the culture goes deep into our life. For instance, on deathbed in Punjab, somebody is leaving its breath, and when it leaves the breath, nowadays, doctor comes and checks the nadi whether person is living or no. But in Punjab, before the medicine came, how would they know the person has gone or is still alive? They just sprinkle whiskey. And the Punjabi would get up, okay. So that's a culture, Punjabi lives. What would happen, to the Bengali? Yeah, they fry the fish, okay. And what would happen down to the south? They ring a bell, okay, of a mandir. And if this person is alive, he would just simply wake up and start doing puja and all that. And the best is in the Marwad, in the western side. How would they know? They just simply throw the coin. So these are the kind of a cultural, aspects by which we live. Like as he asked me, I was also thinking, that like if I have to have a client, the two ways, you can find immediate cultural aspects, because ultimately you have to find out, where this culture comes from, or how this person. So the first thing I ask to my clients, what size of bar you want? Oh, no, bar, okay. And then this person is, but it should be not seen, okay? It should be hidden somewhere. So that's a kind of a superficial culture is getting, because the people in India live in joint family, where they have to hide sometimes and sometimes open it. Other aspects you ask, what kind of puja room you need, okay? And the two questions give me the depth of how, the persons, the family, the life, the house is going to actually grow around. But anyway, so these are the cultural aspects, but there's no way unless until you taste, the lifestyle of a person, how he lives and all. Culturally, I see that there are two kind of culture. One, which are rooted well, which are grown, which is embedded in their own lifestyle. Another is superficial, where people want to show they are very religious, but only superficially. Some people. So I think this is something which we have to see, okay, where we are rooted and where we are superficially, showing that. And there are two different ways of, measuring our cultural aspects. And everything rotates around how people actually accept, themselves culturally rooted, into their lifestyle. And spaces what we design are always surrounded around, especially in India, as I see that we are over-conscious about our society. And to me, culture is nothing but, I would say, kind of a grammar of social structure, which holds everybody together. And there's something which I see that, culturally we are all held together. and live our lifestyle. And of course, the designers are left open to design according to the culture of every human being.
Thank you, Manish. Narottam Saab, I would like to ask you that you've been working and Manish gave us the culture of Punjab. Uh, when we are talking about all these things, how, and we believe all of us that culture does influence design, but when it comes to Pinterest culture, how do you, how do you educate your client to what could be best for him?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to, am I audible? Yeah. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to Greenlam team for having me on board for this panel. Thank you very much. Well, sir, like making a client comfortable or making a client present your design who's already influenced by the global trends is exactly not difficult, but of course it is challenging for a designer. See, nowadays, the client is already driven by an architecture called Pinterest architecture. There's a new term called Pinterest architecture. So the client comes to us and he is already driven by global forces, which are shown on so many social medias and all that. But as a designer, we have a challenge that how to make him understand a design which is contextually right in terms of climate, in terms of culture, and in terms of geography. So there comes the challenge that we need to make him understand that what is the exact need of the design. No doubt, listening to his requirements and making them in the exact shape of the physical nature is his requirement. That is why he is coming to us. But we are not selling him a piece of paper. We are not selling him a design on a piece of paper. We are actually giving him a design which has to be contextually right. So here comes the design intelligence, that how to bring the physical requirements of the client and the contextually right design at one platform. That is what how I perceive this thing.
So it's the way you work and how you communicate with your clients that you express. We have Jack architects and designers here. We've been enjoying and experiencing culture here in the city of Prague since last 2 days. We have been thoroughly enjoying this. We had wonderful dinner at one of the places where this cultural display was seen, trying to pick up our souvenirs with wooden toys and glass that Prague is known for, Czech Republic is known for. Sir, with so much of spread all over, like we all, one product that I like to associate, like we designers don't so easily associate with a product, but here like I feel so proud that an Indian country is having 120 plus in the country's presence and trying to take this product across. And especially in Europe when these boundaries are blurred, culture is also depicted by the color choices. How do you adapt the product line to these different 120 odd countries and manage to be there?
Thank you for the question. I must tell you, Manish, first, I'm a proud Marwari. Not working. Yeah. I thought I'd just let you know, this is Sardar here, this is Marwari here. Anyway, sir, thank you for the question. So, I'm just thinking how to respond to this. My sense is, when you look at doing business globally, or even take your brands globally, I think the foundation across every nation is the same, right? Before you come to the product, I think it's about people, it's about trust, it's about honesty, it's about humility, transparency. I think thinking in terms of decades and not, a transaction or a year or 2 year. So I think whatever we've built until now, I think that was the first foundation, was about connecting with people and At the time we started building the global business, it's now nearing 20 years. We started this journey of building our own brand, our own markets in 2005, I remember, with our first single office. At that point, people would think India, say, if you're exporting, means you'll be cheap, you'll be mostly dishonest, you'll cut corners, you won't ship on time, you won't keep your words. I think those were the general impressions. Obviously not very specific, but generally that was the impression that will you keep up your words? Will you, I think the question was, will you deliver? Will you? So I think from a culture point, the foundation was just ability to have people trust you and you keep your words irrespective of whatever happens, if there's a loss or any challenge. I think that was the foundation of building branded export international model. Then it was about having people abroad, who can talk the same language with the customers and not having someone specifically going from India only to go and market because people relate to people. So I think the people thing was, in my view, common across every part of the world. That wasn't different. Coming from a culture perspective of design and product, etc. By and large, ever since we started our company way back at 30 years, we started with one factory, one brand called Greenlam then. The foundation of designs, products was always quite international, and we still maintain that. So most of the decor papers, plates were from either Europe or Japan. And we, for some reason or the other, I think we kept patience and we did not adulterate the product, without talking of competition here, but we said, we'll do this, we might lose business, but we'll not bring the quality down. So if you use a 133, 107, the supplier, since we started the company 31 years ago, is still the same. You buy from the same European paper supplier we used to buy then, and despite it being a high GSM, high quality, and there are enough lookalikes at maybe 1/3 the paper cost, but we've not moved. So I think, so from that point, it was always, there. And then obviously, we kind of learned when we went to market specific needs of dimensions, performance, certification, sustainability, et cetera, et cetera. So it wasn't so hard, I think, when you know you want to go in a certain direction and there is no finish line and you really want to build this, genuinely for, just works, I think.
Other than product, I believe there's one more thing. One is storytelling about the product and wanting to sell it and come across to somebody to be able to convince. The two books that I normally mention to my panelists also, one is by Devdatta Patnaik on business suit, and two is Subrato Bachi on the professionals. Now, two diverse ways of working and getting the work done. Getting the work done for you, because being a leader and the company and having this wonderful team with you who have showing results, how do you communicate this, to be able to convince on the other side in so many diverse cultures about, because Indian story is Indian story for Indians, one can understand, and the way of working also changes, perception changes. So something on.
So I think we made mistakes, we learned, but I think if you are able to reasonably well articulate what you want to do, and I don't think much changes. Yes, some things change. Some nations, some people are very direct, yes or no, and the matter gets done. People in some part of the world still go a bit round. There has to be a base before you come to a decision making. And some parts of the world, people are not so fair. So I think as you get on to do things, you kind of identify those issues and you get to understand the work culture of those people. And having an international team helped us a lot. So we have an American talking to an American, we have an English person talking to English, we have Italian talking to Italian, we have a Chinese speaking to Singaporean. I think that really helped us. So we didn't need to go and navigate, everywhere, because you had local, team members and partners, and so I think that kind of eased out the work culture. But yes, there was learning, there was a lot of calibration, recalibration. Sometimes it was more harder to communicate to your own team in India than to communicate to the people abroad, because those folks maybe haven't done those things, whether it's packaging, shipment, communication. So, adapting, sampling to 120 countries, 300 foreign distributors, local languages, local websites. So a lot of customization, has been done to adapt to the culture of, or the way of business in terms of design and trade. So I'm mixing culture, design, commerce, all. But
absolutely, that's
from
what
our
is
perspective, it
expected.
was more like a, mix. So maybe, yeah.
Wonderful. I think reason why I keep on saying that I'm proud of this one brand product is he mentioned I was going to introduce myself as 107 SF. And now there is, I was asking Manishji Kakkar, why didn't you mention VRB finish? Because that's one thing that is coming out like fantastic. Maybe next time I will also associate myself with VRB as your brand, because these are shades. Let me tell you, if many of you would not know, what he was trying to say is sustain. The day I first time bought 107 till today, there is no change in shade. Nothing changes in that. So that's where they stand tall, and understanding cultures in so many countries and to be able to catering to their needs and sending our own products from our country. I think big round of applause for Green Lamp, New Mica, and the variety of product ranges that they have been selling. Here also, I believe we have Maharashtra, Delhi, then we have in Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, and Dehradun. Sir, from Dehradun, how do you perceive Indian design in its context, cultural context?
Yeah, hello. Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah, good evening. Regarding this contextual context, so when the client approaches us, we actually we ask him to write a small write-up or a small anecdote of what kind of spaces they are looking for from us to design. So that helps us in knowing our client in a better manner. And in our practice, we follow these 3 C's, which is context, concept, and the client. So these 3's helps us in knowing the site and plus understanding the context of the site, and then understanding our client also. So in Indian culture, obviously because Indian culture is very diverse, so diversity, it is the hometown of diversity. So like we get to see so many patterns, we get to see so many colors in Indian context, Indian culture. So we are quite influenced with that. So there are the jalis, the intricate jalis are there. So we have those colors which have meanings, like red is meant for marriages and yellow is meant for like knowledge. So every color has got a different meaning. So there is so much of there are motives there. There's so much to learn from Indian culture. So we try to imbibe that in our designs. We are very much inspired with that Indian culture. So we try to reflect that in our designs in our own manner. And the context where we are designing, that plays a major role in like designing all the spaces. So these are the few things which we take care of while designing the spaces. Thank you.
Anil, can I have the similar question to you? Because you have also been doing wonderful work all these years. So what's your take on that?
Yeah. Hello, good evening, everybody. When we talk about the culture, I being in Marwadi, and I know like how culture plays a role into architecture. But one thing, like if you see the culture of Rajasthan, being a desert, people over there use a lot of colors to bring, lot of vibrancy into architecture. So accordingly, the clothing and everything changes. So if you talk about different region, the climate is the key thing which decides the culture, because based on the climate, the eating habits, the clothing habits of that particular region changes. But that doesn't mean that we have to just, copy paste the culture. So usually what we do in our project, we definitely respect nature a lot, and the identity of the culture we bring through lot of artwork, lot of local artwork. So we try to make a space which is contemporary, use of latest materials, but the essence of culture we bring through the local art. Because the newer generation, if you, whatever is your work style, if you try to convince them that yes, you should have a traditional house with the use of those traditional materials, traditional forms, they won't get convinced because they have globally traveled. They know where the world is leading. So the best way is to use the best of the technologies and get the culture in the space through some artworks, through some motifs, through some colors, and that's the way we practice. And I feel that is satisfying to the older generation and the newer generation also. So that's how
Right.
we
I
work.
think quintessentially you make these spaces have that reflection of the culture where you do and then do a contemporary design solution for your clients. Madam, you have been working globally with global clients and understanding what they are looking at, and commercial office spaces is what your forte is. Uh, do you face this issue, or do you what you call negotiate with this, or and how, being a designer yourself, how do you put that signature of yours on different projects globally that you do, the signature of your firm?
So yeah, we have, I mean, I think I have the advantage of working with a lot of global clients, and both American, UK, British firms. And so they've all come to India, and thanks to our former finance minister for opening up the gates way back in 92 and allowing us, our economy to prosper. But I think what it did to the Indian society as such, it brought about a big change. And I mean, it helped us come to terms with what the global standards are, and it helped. I mean, so what we do is all these organizations are usually very aware of how to meet an employee expectation, and so the regional context does play an important role, but the culture does not represent or restrict itself to the context of place. It also has to talk about the culture of the organization as such. So as we say, I'm not sure what the Greenlam motto is or the values are, but Greenlam office anywhere across the world would definitely look belonging to that place. But it would also show the spirit of what Greenlam stands for. So if it's trust, and if it's independence, or if it's, transparency, it would be the same spirit, whether it's Indianized in Delhi, or whether it's, made more Czech here in Prague. So I think every place might have a context, but the organization for us, the organization spirit also plays a very important role. So we have to talk about cultures not only of the space that you inhabit, but not only of the organization that you belong to, because the sense of belonging to a community has to be very strong, but also the generation that you belong to. Because in a workspace, you have generations starting from a millennial to a Gen Z to, late bloomers like us. So, I mean, you're catering to somebody who's 22 to all the way up to 32 to 42, 52. So the expectations are so varied in not just where you belong to or what organization you're, adhering yourself to, but what is your age group. So even at a Google, it would probably look very Indian in an Indian office. It'll look very American in an American office. But all throughout, you would have the same spirit. But there will be some spaces that are catering to the millennials, to the Gen Z, and then there would be some quieter spaces that we would want to work in, because I think we are less of we would want our corners, introverts, extroverts. So you have to cater to a lot of mindsets. And now the new angle and the new sensitivity talks about neurodiversity as well. So you're not just talking cultures, you're talking genres of age, gender, sensitivity. So it's a big, big forum or a big gamut of a responsibility that's just dumped on you. So we try ourselves.
Wonderful. Trying
yeah.
to connect with something else that the others. Vikas, would you like to throw some your thoughts on what she said? Because I think she has opened up another vertical of company cultures and genres and their likings. Great, I think.
No, I think she covered up most of the things. Good evening, everyone. I think what she said makes sense to me. And what you can do to a corporate office space is that you should always have the spirit of the country. I'm sure if a Greenlam office in Czech is there, it has to have that essence of India showing definitely, because people connect. When you go to a particular place, you connect with the design philosophy, the design language, the colors, the forms. So definitely it does make a sense. You need to at least have a sense of connectivity there with your country and whatever country you belong to. The forms, we have such rich heritage, we have such rich culture, and if we don't look at that, I think we are doing injustice to our culture and we are not doing the great thing. I think what you said was valid and rightly said.
Since it's interesting, I would want even Manish, if you feel something would add on to what she said, I think.
Yeah. It's something which is, this is a corporate world, but the way, other aspect, which we see is when we design, let's say, private homes, okay? You meet a different kind of cultures. And it's been wonderful to see in India when I practice. We worked right from Dharamsala to Indore in Madhya Pradesh, in Gujarat, Maharashtra, of course, in Mumbai, even in Hyderabad down to the south, and the kind of cultural aspects which are rooted among people, how they live and lead their life, which influences their spaces, their way, they define their own way of, living, is so much rooted, with the, even like not only the geographical location, but the religious aspects. Like I have designed houses for the Mohammedan family, where the complete cultural contrast is there against somebody who's Hindu. We design house for the South Indian people, and their religious, way defines their lifestyles and how it gets rooted into the next generations or the previous generations. Though there is a huge impact on the digital era in which we live nowadays with the younger generation, the industrial era which started about 50 years back, and how our designs are influenced. But let me tell you that since the culture is defined by the socio-cultural fabric around which everybody defines their roles, there are certain influencing factors which comes into the play when you design. For instance, technology. Like, the houses what you used to design about 100 years back in the wooden structures, now you get in concrete and maybe steel. Other aspects which are also influencing is, the kind of, I would say, how do I put it, is a kind of a superficial fear, people carry in with them. And there's always a sense of survival, people have, along with the joy of, living. Is something like nowadays, the Vastu is something which is influencing and is somehow guiding, people in a very superficial way, keeping, the big challenge to the architects, how really matters, to connect with the nature. So there are various aspects which influences like how we are educated. For instance, on the way we were driving down in the bus, And then the Vikas was sitting next to me, and I saw the bus stopped. There was zebra crossing, a family having a child on their shoulder, and the cart, they were carrying. They were comfortably crossing the road. The bus was just 10 feet away. I think the culture of respecting, the other citizens is quite high in European country. Probably in India, we said, I don't think people would have crossed that road. And there's a huge cultural difference we carry. This kind of fear we have, the kind of respect we have for the citizens is something which is remarkable, when we travel, in the developed countries like this. Of course, there are whole systems and the way, the cultural living of the city itself, like, we have a huge size of, the public spaces and squares which we miss out in India. So it develops a culture of how we are fearfully living along with the traffic and vehicles. So as a whole, coming back, not only to the houses, but entire the city, and every little space what we design, including the signages, matters that how culturally we respect our other citizens who are our own friends or family friends.
Since I believe you spoke about corporate culture, sir, I would come back to you on this. Building such a wonderful team with similar values, similar aim, or similar focus, and we've seen them working hard, we've seen them taking the product across to each of our designers. How do you build this whole culture, and where did it all start? Because I'm talking about the books that I mentioned. Again, I would come to that, Devdatta Patnaik talking about Business Sutra, where, we Indians, he says, we believe in life after life. The reason why we cannot give targets, and we cannot expect a person to, to achieve these targets on time, because we feel, ho jayega, and then we would tend to, largely an Indian psyche would think in a way, and similar, exactly the opposite in the Western culture. They will live only one life, and that's why they keep targets, and that's why they achieve their targets, and that's why they have their goals. So in such a scenario, because you're working globally, how do you what you call, give this energy to the team in Greenlam Industries?
Targets, so we still give everywhere. Without targets, business can't work. Whether they get achieved or not, I don't know. So whether Manish Shankar is smiling, I can see. No, so I think that that's a tough one, and I think it's all WIP. It never gets over. Culture building, and it's soft. People say culture eats strategy for breakfast. So people say, I think culture is the most important part in a corporate or in an organization, or even an organization of any, it could even be a family for that matter, could be a mom and pop store, could be a large company, could be a small company. So when you say how you build it, I can't go very specific, but I can say that in our company, we've always said to people that what's good for the company is good for all of us. So clearly, I think in the company, in the industry, from the families, myself and my spouse in the business, and the decision-making process is mostly driven by people, like 4 people, and when we get stuck in any decision-making, we always say, if it's good for the business, good for all of us. So clearly, the first thing is the organization is above the self, is above the family. And I think that messaging to people and your own behavior towards it consistently over every day, years, I think is extremely important for people to believe that what you're saying is making sense. So I think the messaging internally within our family and within the team, I hope Sumit and Manish team would agree to it, is that I'm here to serve the company, my family is here to serve the company, and it's not the other way around. Typically with Indian businesses, the other way around is more prominent, although I think it's changing, but at least I think that was the first starting point, and then you build like-minded people. Some become like-minded over years of participation and engagement. And you also, I think, it's a long discussion, but I think you kind of have a personal touch with people. You know the families, yet you work professionally. I think it's a challenge, but I think you have to kind of marry both pieces. You can't be non-professional, otherwise the non-performers get rewarded. That's a conflict. The good people leave. At the same time, you need a core team. You need a set of people who work for the business. I think it's a long discussion, but I think in our category, in our industry, I believe that we're going in a decent direction on that part.
No, because we could see from the team that you have, the dedication, the sincerity, the seriousness, the ownership of a brand, is all gets reflected in everything that they have been doing. And that's why it's difficult to have, and you've been doing this for this long, a decade of being Green Lamb Industries. I think it's very successful, I must say. I can throw this open to the public if there is anybody who would want to point a question to any of the panelists here. If we have 8 minutes time, so anyone from the audience? Can they have a mic?
Hello. Yeah, good evening. Since you were talking about the culture, right? So how do you segregate a vision? How do you segregate a vision and a culture? I think should be a vision driven or a culture driven sense of design.
Can I answer that question? So, well, the vision kind of sets forth the culture that is to follow. So vision is the broad picture, the target, the goal. And I mean, I don't know. Yeah. And the culture is the things that you do to get that goal. So vision is the start point, culture is the journey.
So I am just continuing his question, very interesting question he has asked. Like in nowadays, we can see Dubai. Now the word, as soon as you listen, now you understand my question. Are you really believe that those countries are following their cultures right now? Or they are just keeping, maintaining, and so I think you all understand what my question is. Please, yours.
Well, that depends.
I think the culture within their community is being followed as what they are. And we, having this magnifying glass now because of their success, are trying to doubt it. But they have adapted to the geography or as a nature what they had to encash. And that was one port, I believe, but they did not have oil. And to exploit and get people there, and they've built a wonderful culture in architecture. I've seen building that celebrates architecture in its true sense. I think maybe now their culture is also to give the world what best could be. Anyone else? Yeah, the last one.
Hello. Sir, I would like to culminate. And the identity of architecture depends on 50-50, sir. 50 is the culture of the client, and 50 is the culture of the artist, the maker, the architect. When Le Corbusier came to India, it was his ideology which built Chandigarh for the nation. When Louis Kahn came to Ahmedabad, it was his ideology of grammar, of spirituality, which built in Ahmedabad, but for Ahmedabad. So the cultures of architecture, the identity of architecture is 50-50 always, of the client, oblique of the space, and 50% of the architect. It is his definition, his upbringing, his education, his DNA, his culture, which defines the architecture. So it's a mix and match of both. It's not only of the client, sir. I thought I'll just say this. And as for Dubai, It's the persons, the exuberance of the sheikhs which is trying to project. But that therefore it is again a collage of different architects and styles, so there is no culture at all. It's simply an exuberance, ebullience of something which is there, sir. So identity is twice written. Thank you.
So in Dubai case, I believe it's survival that made them do this, get into exuberance, because they would not exist otherwise.
They were pirates once upon
Yeah,
a time.
absolutely, they were pirates once upon a time.
Yeah, it is ultimately their basic nature that's been manifested.
So maybe we take one last, or I conclude. Okay. So we conclude on this, but once again, many thanks to Green Lamp for this wonderful discussion. Thank you all the local designers and trade present here. It's wonderful to be in this city, and we are longing to stay more and rather to come back and enjoy and experience this city of yours, and also then understand the culture well. So to conclude, culture is an inseparable part of design, shaping aesthetics, functionality, symbolism, and narratives. A deep appreciation of cultural nuances enhance design's ability to resonate with diverse audiences. To create designs and transcend borders, designer must navigate the fine line between cultural representation and appropriation, fostering empathy and understanding. By embracing cultural differences, design becomes a conduit for unity, fostering connections across the rich tapestry of human experiences. Thank you once again, sir, for getting us all here. Thank you, panelists, for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all the panelists for such an enlightening discussion. May I request all of you to please stay back on stage for one more moment. And along with Mr. Saurabh Mittal, I would also request Mrs. Parul Mittal to please join us up on stage. And Mr. Sumit Gupta, can we please have you here as well? To felicitate all our brilliant panelists for sharing their valuable insights with all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we can have a big, big round of applause for them one more time. So may I request you to please felicitate our wonderful moderator, Mr. Pratap Jadhav, for beautifully conducting the entire panel and asking all the relevant questions, keeping everyone engaged. I think we can have a big round of applause for Mr. Jadhav, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, please put your hands together for Mr. Vikas Thakkar from Vikas Thakkar and Associates, Indore, India. Thank you so much, sir, for all your brilliant insights that you have shared with us today. Everyone, please give it up for Mr. Manish Banker from Tau Architecture Private Limited, Pune, India. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise with us. Everybody, I think we can do better with some applauses, yes. Let's keep up the energy. We also have this beautiful and talented lady, Ms. Rachita Khanna from SWBI, Gurgaon, India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for all your thoughts, all your perspective, and let me tell you, looking very lovely this evening. Everybody, please give it up for Mr. Manish Kala from Edifice Design Studio, Dehradun, India. Thank you so much, sir, for all your words, all your thoughts. And we also had the opportunity to hear from Mr. Narottam Singh from Narottam Singh and Associates, Amritsar, India. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. And everyone, please put your hands together one more time for Mr. Anil Ranka from Anil Ranka Architects, Pune, India. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening all of us with your brilliant, brilliant thoughts. Thank you so much. Can I request all of you to please stay back on stage for one more moment, and can we all take a group photograph? I think now is the perfect opportunity to take a group photograph. Right from the center, I would request the photographer. From the center, please take the group photograph of the stage. Yes. Fabulous. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can make the most of this opportunity by putting our hands together louder, louder for all the panelists for sharing their wealth of knowledge, expertise, and sparking some new conversations and ideas. Thank you. Thank you so much all. Thank you once again.